Hello everyone and welcome back to DiabloCast, your Diablo 3 podcast. Here we keep you up to date on everything going on in the Diablo 3 universe and share with you our thoughts and opinions on any recent news and topics about Diablo 3. As always, I am your host, Dennis Force Duhamel, and with me as always we have got Kevin Sixen Carlino.
Hey guys.
And Tyler isn't here this week because he is dumb or something like that.
What else is new, right?
I guess Tyler forgot that we were recording today, so that's a bummer. He's also setting up a brand new computer. He told me he's got a 27-inch monitor, which is absurd, by the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess he's out of commission, so he will not be joining us this week, unfortunately. But that is a-okay. And Kevin, how are you doing this week? I know that you're all done school. You enjoying your time off? You having a good time, relaxing?
Yeah, man. I'm just hanging out. I feel like I've done nothing but sleep and play games, and I started playing Call of Duty again. I know, shoot me, but yeah, man, I just wish we had some more Diablo news.
Yeah, and I guess on that note, there has pretty much been nothing, and in terms of my past week, I've basically just been scrounging for information, but there's been nothing in the Diablo 3 front. But we're just going to try to go over what was missed in our last podcast. If you did listen to the last podcast, we did some speculation on the follower system in Diablo 3. Well, after the podcast was recorded, we got some further information, so we're going to go ahead and clarify that and give you guys a good idea of what the follower system is going to look like, and then just share with you our opinions about that. So that's going to be one of our major topics. We're also going to be talking about the Blizzcon ticket sales, which are going to be happening this weekend, and I guess that pretty much does it. So let's go ahead and jump right into the first topic, which will be the Blizzcon ticket sales. So there you have it, right there. The first sale for the BlizzCon tickets is going to be taking place this Saturday, May 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific time. The second batch of tickets will be sold on Wednesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So we're going to be looking to get some tickets. If you guys are interested, realize that this is probably going to be selling out in, I don't know, I'd say probably about 30 seconds.
Yeah, man.
30 seconds to a minute. That's probably going to be the sellout time. So again, this Saturday, May 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Now, Kevin, I know that you intend on going to BlizzCon. Let's just talk about this for a moment. In terms of, I know one of the big things for people, one of the big things on people's mind is the price. It's $175. That's up from $150 that it was last year. There's also a limit to 4 per household. I'm sure not too many people are concerned about that limit, but just in general, the price. How do you feel about that? What do you feel about a $175 price point for this event?
Well, right when I saw that it got bumped up, I was like, oh man, $175? That's kind of rough, man. We're starting to get up there. But then I kind of put it into perspective, and I mean, it's another $25 up from last year, and last year was only $150. So it's up another $25, but then compared to all the different expenses that we have to spend money on, so like hotel and airfare and gas and food and anything we buy at the store, because I mean, how can you go to BlizzCon and not buy anything at the store? So I mean, there's just so much other stuff that you spend money on. If you could save $25 somewhere else, I mean, there's the difference right there.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. I think I know in a general sense people are just like, man, that's super expensive, but I guess as you stated, in context to the entire experience, which is going to be for most people, because not everybody lives right on the West Coast, for most people it's going to be a plane ticket. It's going to be, like you said, food. Realize that this is a 2-day event, so you're going to be spending at least one night up in a hotel. I know personally for myself, I'm probably going to want to be there for 2 nights just to, if I'm making the trip and spending the money, I want to make kind of an experience of it and spend that extra night to be out there and just maybe go sightseeing for the last day. But yeah, it's kind of a drop in the hat in the overall scheme of things. I guess with that said, we just mentioned again the tickets are going to be going on sale 10 a.m. on Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday, May 21st. But as we mentioned, they sold out. They've sold out in the past in like a matter of seconds. Like it's absurd.
Oh, I know, it's disgusting, man. I remember one year they were having some troubles with the BlizzCon store or the Blizzard store, whatever it is, and like it kept failing whenever you tried to buy tickets. But really what happened was basically if you weren't in the queue within the first 20 seconds, you weren't getting tickets. So literally the tickets sold out in 20 seconds. I know it was like something like 15,000 tickets gone in 20 seconds. And I saw people walking around with shirts that had the error message on. It was like a big SCV. It was like the fail SCV or something like that. They were just walking around at BlizzCon. It was such a joke, man. But yeah, I mean, they fixed that, so that's just not going to happen anymore. But yeah, dude, it's nuts. And that's also why they started doing it in 2 different batches, to give people more of a chance to get their tickets,
Yeah. the point that I was trying to drive to though was the fact that, you know, given that they're selling out so fast, overall people don't care that it costs $175. I mean, you've got this group of people who's complaining about it, sure, but if they're selling out in under a minute, then the price isn't too high. You know, we go back to, you know, basic economics for anyone who's taken those classes in college, the thought of supply and demand, and it's still not at that breaking point yet. I mean, I would honestly think that they could raise it up quite a bit and it would still sell out. I mean, I in all honesty, I'm not pushing for this, and people might shoot me for even suggesting it, but I bet if they raised it to 300, it would still sell out very quickly. So.
Oh, dude! After these sales, people turn around and they buy the maximum amount of tickets. The last couple of years it's been 5. This year it's 4. So they buy the maximum amount, and they turn around and sell them for 4 times the original price on eBay and Craigslist, and people still buy them then.
Yeah, I know. I guess with that said, though, I know that they're taking preventative measures for that. Being that one of the main things is that you need to have the person who purchases the ticket needs to have a photo ID with them with the same name as the card that purchased it, the credit card or debit card that purchased the ticket. So that's going to be a good way to prevent that from happening, at least in some sense, right?
Yeah, you need both the card, I believe the card of purchase, and an ID that goes along with it. So, yeah, and basically when that happens, you're going to have to trust, if you actually go ahead and buy it off eBay or Craigslist. I mean, I don't recommend this because it's, aside from the fact that it's very risky, I mean, it's also ridiculously expensive. You could just go ahead and buy the $40 virtual ticket and watch everything online.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you end up buying it from somebody online, you're going to have to make sure you meet them there because they're going to have to be the one that picks up the ticket. They don't accept like photocopied IDs or anything. It has to be the original ID, the original card of purchase. So.
Yeah, so I guess if you take anything from this, be very wary about that because as we've just stated, you can't just buy someone else's ticket. They need that photo ID that's going to have the same name as the card that actually purchased it online. So just be aware and be careful because I'm sure, I mean, even after saying this, I'm sure some people who listen to this may try it and get scammed. It could very well happen. So just be a little careful. But I guess, yeah, the general consensus is that although it may be expensive, it's still a drop in the hat compared to the entire experience. And also that they could raise it and that they would get away with it. Pretty much no problem.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, I mean, I just wanted to throw this out there, that there are 2 other kinds of tickets than normal BlizzCon tickets. There's the benefit dinner tickets, and then there's the virtual tickets. And the virtual tickets I actually just mentioned were going to be $40. And basically what happens is it's several channels set up on an internet stream, so you can go ahead and sit down at your computer and watch all these different kinds of streams of whatever different events at BlizzCon. So I mean, you can flip between StarCraft and Diablo and Warcraft and the tournament streams and whatever. And then you have, I believe, a couple days afterwards, you can go ahead and go back and watch stuff and rewatch stuff and do whatever. You can pause and record and all that kind of crazy stuff. So, I mean, it's almost as if you're right there at BlizzCon, except it's only $40 and then you don't have to pay for gas and airfare and all other crazy stuff. Now, the benefit dinner tickets, these are $500. However, most of it goes to charity from what I know. And with this $500 ticket, you get to go to dinner with the developers and executives and the community team. So people like Bash Yawk and Jay Wilson and any other Diablo guys should be there. So basically, you get to go to dinner with them the night before BlizzCon. And then you get BlizzCon tickets as well with this $500 ticket. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of pricey. It's another $300. But, I mean, it goes to the Children's Hospital. So it's a nice way to kind of give back. And, I mean, if tickets sell out, you still have a chance to get your own ticket. So it's probably going to be less money than it is at eBay or Craigslist or whatever.
A lot less
dangerous, and then you don't have to worry about getting scammed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, much less dangerous.
Yeah.
All right. So there you have it. Those are the 3 different options you have. You just have the typical BlizzCon tickets. You've got that benefit dinner, and then of course the virtual ticket that we talked about. And just one more time, just to let you know, it is going to start. The first batch of ticket sales are happening Saturday, May 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and the second batch is going to be Wednesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Pacific time.
And then the benefit dinner tickets go on sale after both those batches are already gone. So Saturday, May 28th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And as far as virtual tickets, they still haven't given any further information on when you can start purchasing, but I don't believe that there is a limit. So basically, once that goes up, you can go ahead and pay for it and you're good to go.
Yeah, I think I remember actually last year's BlizzCon, like the day before they were selling the virtual tickets. I'm pretty sure even the day of. I mean, I couldn't imagine, barring like bandwidth issues, I could not imagine that they would have any sort of cap on that. That'd be silly. The fact that we're even talking about it is silly. So let's go ahead and move on to the bulk of this week's podcast, which is going to be going a little bit in depth about the follower system. So in last week's podcast, we did kind of do a little bit of speculation. Essentially what happened is there was that leaked footage about the follower system, and then we recorded the podcast, and the day after recording the podcast is when they actually went ahead and announced basically all of the details about the follower system. So we're just going to talk about the things that we might have missed last week and just go into a little bit more detail and talk a little more specifics about the follower system. So just generally, let's talk about what they're meant to be, just kind of at bullet points. First and foremost, they're going to be single player only. You cannot do this in co-op. You cannot do this in the multiplayer PvP arena. They're meant primarily for the normal playthrough of the game. Remember, there are three variations of difficulty. There's normal, nightmare, and hell. Followers are going to be most effective in the normal playthrough. And then also, let's take a look here. One of their primary goals is to get people used to the co-op experience, having someone else with you. And it's also used to help progress the story. So those are kind of the main bullet points. Those are what followers are generally going to be doing. That's their main goal and purpose. So let's talk about this for a moment. Single player only, Kevin, what are your thoughts on that? We know that it's one of the primary reasons is to cut back on clutter of the screen because they didn't want followers going crazy with 4 people in play. But what do you feel about that? Do you think that's kind of limiting their potential? Is it kind of, I don't know, I mean, what are your thoughts basically?
I personally, I mean, I'm going to go right out and say it. I was wrong from last time. I mean, I just assumed that they wouldn't make any differences between single player and multiplayer. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm really not happy with the fact that it's single player only because I don't see myself playing a lot of single player. I imagine I'm going to be playing multiplayer for the most part. So this is going to be something that I'm really not going to get a chance to use unless I say screw it and play alone by myself, which I mean is really no fun. I guess I understand why they're doing it. It's kind of like a poor man's co-op is what I've been saying. So basically it kind of pushes people who normally play single player to go ahead and play multiplayer. So now they get the feeling of, hey, cool, I've got another hero with me. I wonder how that would feel. Well, now they know, and now they can go ahead and play multiplayer. But I mean, I guess we have to kind of drop the whole mercenary thing from Diablo 2 because this is meant to be something completely different. If we think about it as how multiplayer has worked, I feel like I'm missing out. Like I said, I'm not really going to be playing a lot of multiplayer. I mean, I'm not going to be playing a lot of single player, so this is something that I'm really not going to be able to experience unless I go ahead and play alone, which I don't really want to do.
Yeah, I definitely feel your sentiment in that regard. In all honesty, I personally feel like the follower system might be something that I end up trying like 3 or 4 months down the road on an alt. Because I mean, I'll tell you right off the bat, I mean, you have to kind of realize that, you know, the biggest hype and the most amount, the highest likelihood of you playing with your friends is going to be when the game first comes out, because the hype's been built up, you know, the PR machine's been cranking out, which we haven't seen that yet, but eventually the PR machine's going to start cranking out advertisements and everything, and, you know, you and all of your friends are likely to be getting the game day one and start playing right away, and then over time, you know, people go back to other games or they lose interest. We're talking in a general sense. Obviously, there's going to be people who play hardcore for years and years and years and years. But in a general sense, people start to fade over time. You're seeing it with StarCraft. You see it with every game. A year or so after release, people start to fade away. So I feel at that point, it's going to actually become more useful. But right away, and this is my primary point, because it's meant to only be used primarily in normal. Followers have been said. It's been said that they're not going to be nearly as effective in Nightmare and Hell. So I mean, I'm guaranteed in my first playthrough of normal that my friends are going to be there. I'm not going to be playing that by myself. It's not going to happen. There's no way. Just because of what I mentioned, that like everyone's going to have it, everyone's going to be excited to play it. Who's going to be playing alone when the game first comes out? By the time like they start possibly playing alone when their friends aren't around, they're going to be way out of normal mode. You know?
Right. Exactly. And I mean, I guess that's kind of why I mentioned that. I mean, in order to understand this decision, we really have to kind of drop what we know about mercenaries from Diablo 2, because essentially these followers, like you said, they're only viable for the most part in normal. So I mean, essentially what it is it's a poor man's co-op. So those people that want to play single player primarily, they're going to be going through normal. They're going to have this other, this co-op, I guess, this co-op other player. Um, so they're going to play through normal with this other person, and they're going to say, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool. I wish I could play this experience, more often." So now once they finish normal and they hit nightmare and hell, they're not going to be able to have this follower there because I believe Bashok basically said they're going to get one-shotted and they're going to be useless. So at that point, they're going to have to jump on multiplayer and play over BattleNet if they really want to continue that with that co-op experience. But for people like you and I, we're kind of getting screwed out of this whole follower system because we're never going to get a chance to play it. And if we do, it's going to be months and months down the road when it's really not a big deal anymore.
Yeah, I mean, again, in all honesty, it's not gonna be on my first. I am not gonna experience the followers on my first playthrough with my first character. It's gonna be an alt, and it's gonna be a little later down the road. I mean, I'm even trying to figure out a scenario where, hey, I'm on. Let's say a lot of times I get up early to sort of record my videos and stuff, and in all honesty, a lot of my friends sleep in a little bit that I end up playing with. So I'm thinking, well, okay, maybe at that point in time. But even at that point, I'll probably be out of normal by then. So again, it kind of defeats the purpose. So I guess yes, it can be. It's frustrating for a person like me, not in the sense that I'm just dying to experience the followers, but to know that I'm very likely not going to have this part of the game in my first playthrough. My first kind of exposure to it. That's just not going to be something that I partake in because I will be playing with friends of mine. But I mean, from a developer view, I guess I understand. I don't know, but even that, in all honesty, I guess I don't. I guess in a sense I think it's kind of stupid because why couldn't they just make it scale so that it's always viable in single player? Like if you're gonna already force it into one avenue of the game, single player only, why not at least make it so that it's always available in single player and then say single player only, normal only. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean I get what you're saying, but their whole, as I understand it, their whole idea behind this was now people are going to want to go ahead and play BattleNet. So now that they're done with normal, they're going to go make a character on BattleNet and play over BattleNet. It forces and encourages the use of co-op play, which I mean, like I said, it's cool for those people that primarily don't plan on playing multiplayer, but people like you and I are going to be missing out on this stuff.
Yeah, and so I suppose that thinking about it for a moment, rage aside, thinking about it for a moment, it makes a lot of sense for those people who wouldn't typically play with friends. Because what they're doing is, their first experience with the game, they're like, hey, look at this, you've got this friend with you all the time. And then all of a sudden they go into Nightmare, the friend's getting one shot, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Where's my friend? He keeps dying. So then at that point, they're going to be like, all right, well, let me try to find other people on BattleNet who would like to play with me. So I can see that logical progression where they're kind of forcing people to be like, hey, I've had a friend that this whole first playthrough of the game, but now I can't because he keeps dying. So now I have to find other, capable people with a brain who will be able to not die in 5 seconds to play with. So yeah, that makes sense to me, but again, I guess that's the most important thing to think about, that this is who it's focused towards. This is who that whole system is going to be driving for, is just those types of people who wouldn't typically be playing with people.
I also like that each follower has their own kind of unique personality, and I mean, from what I understand, Bashok mentioned that they all have their own dialogues. So I mean, for those people that kind of care about lore, they can go ahead and listen to what these people have to say because they are just other people. They're heroes that you meet along the way. They have the same goal as you. Basically, they want to kill everything and all the demons and Diablo and all that other good stuff. But they're basically just your sidekicks. But otherwise, I mean, there's just some other general things that we want to touch base on, because I know we made a lot of speculation in last week's podcast, and some of it we were pretty much spot on, and some of it we were kind of a little bit off, but in kind of close. So, Dennis, you want to pick that up?
Sure, yeah. Just so everyone knows, these are going to be the major topics we're going to touch on. First, we're going to talk about the effectiveness of the followers. We're also going to go into their gearing, talk about their spells, their leveling, and their death. Yeah, so let's just start off then. I guess we're going to start things off with the effectiveness. Now, one major concern that people are having, where they were saying, with these followers, what's going to happen? Are they just going to be able to, plow through monsters, and I'm just going to be following them around trying to pick up loot? It's important to note that is not the case at all. Followers are meant to be more of a sidekick. They're never going to be outperforming your hero. They're just meant to kind of tag along and help you out a little bit here and there. But they're certainly not going to be clearing rooms. That's definitely not going to be the case whatsoever. So the next major thing is going to be the gear. So let's just go ahead and talk about the gear that's going to be available for the followers. Now I know in terms of, we had some discussion last week, Kevin, about the armor for the followers. You mind clarifying for people how the armor is going to work this time around?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, and we were kind of trying to figure out how the actual armor and helm and all that other stuff is going to be working, because from the video, all we saw was that there was the 2 ring slots, the amulet slot, and then the 2 weapon slots. And then there was also kind of a slot that had like a lockbox on it, and actually it turns out that lockbox is unlocked it when the follower hits level 25, and that is essentially like a follower only class item. So each normal regular class has their own items. Well, it turns out that followers are going to have the same thing. So we're going to have like special charms, or I guess charms is a bad word. So from World of Warcraft, they have idols. So stuff like that. We're going to be able to put specific unique items into that slot per follower. And other than that, I believe I said last week, so this is just me saying that I was correct, that as they level up, they're going to visually look better. So what does that mean? It means that we're not going to be giving them armor and a helmet and belt and boots. As they level up over time, they're just going to get different looks, so they look a lot cooler and a lot stronger. Something basically how Diablo 1 worked out. As you leveled up, you got better armor, but there was really only 3 tiers of armor. So you had one specific armor set on, you looked like a little peasant. You had the next one, you looked kind of like a cool, like a teenage dude and like male, and the last one you look like a badass guy that slays demons.
It's a very nice description there, Kevin. I appreciate that. Yeah, so the armor itself is going to be progressing as each one of the followers level up, and then the specifics that we're going to be able to give them are rings, amulets, and weapons. But that's it. That's something that we had known last week, but just some further clarification on that. Now the next major thing to discuss is the spells in the game. For the followers. Now there's going to be 12 possible spells for the followers, but how it looks like it's going to be is that we're only able to have 4 active skills at a time. Now this kind of harkens back to just the general theme of Diablo. You know, our personal heroes, there's a whole array. I believe last we heard is somewhere between 20 and 30 possible spells and abilities, but we can only have 7 active at a time. So they're just basically carrying that over into the follower system. Now I know that there was some concern about respecs. Do you know if we're going to be able to respec those spells, Kevin?
Bashiok actually mentioned that we're going to be able to respec them, and it's going to be fairly cheap. So assuming that actually heroes respecs are going to be a gold sink, it's going to be pretty much costless to keep these followers around. So, I mean, any items that you give them, they can easily just be removed and salvaged. Like I just said, you can respec them, so dumping skill points into whatever you need at the time isn't going to be a big deal. So, I mean, essentially, these aren't going to be all that bad.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the spells and abilities, like I mentioned, there's going to be 12 total, and they're going to be unlocked progressively as the heroes level, and the number unlocks are 5, 10, 15, and 20. So at each interval, you're going to unlock a 4 additional, and you can basically just take 1 from each row. There's 4 total rows to make up the 12 total skills. Now, in terms of leveling, and just talk about how they're going to level, people were wondering, is it going to be the case where there are 3 different followers, and I guess it's also important to note that you can only have 1 following you at any given time. But are they going to have to be around me every 5 seconds to get the XP to level up? Well, I guess as it turns out, that's not the case. You mind clarifying that as well, Kevin?
Right. So basically, I mean, it would be pretty... Blizzard says that it wouldn't be as fun if you had to like go back and level them up, because I mean, if you hit, say, the very end of the game in normal, and now you have to go back down to, you know, the very Act 1, the beginning stuff, just to level them up, that wouldn't really be much fun. So basically, they stay within your level range. I believe in one of the interviews they said that if you don't take a follower out with you, they stay a level under you. So if you're 20, they all stay 19, except for the specific one that you have following you. So I mean, they aren't the exact level as you, but you don't have to go back and grind level them, because I mean that's just boring.
Yeah, so that's definitely not going to be a concern at all. And I guess that makes a lot of sense too, given the fact that they're only going to be usable in single player and throughout the normal difficulty. It would make no sense whatsoever if, say, you were just using the Templar nonstop, and then all of a sudden you want to use the Enchantress. You're still in normal, and you got to go back to Act 1 to, help her level up. Like, that'd be so super frustrating.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense, given their kind of limited use, why they wouldn't want you to force to go back to level. And then specifically in combat, we can talk about the death of the followers, how that's going to work, or I guess more specifically how it's not going to work. They're not going to be dying. I guess they're looking to just be incapacitated for, I believe it was like 15 or 20 seconds, and then they just join you right back in the fight, right?
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So that's basically it. I guess the only other really big thing that we haven't mentioned is cost, and there is no cost. You're not going to have to. This is, again, as Kevin mentioned earlier, just completely forget everything you knew about mercenaries and followers or hirelings in the past, because it's nothing like that. As we mentioned, you're just going to be encountering these guys in the world, doing quests for them, and then they'll just be available to you in your single player playthrough.
And I also just wanted to mention that obviously they're not going to be available in PvP since they're single player only. And other than that, we were talking about it for a while last week about health globes and stuff like that. I don't think Blizzard said whether or not they can pick up health globes. However, if the hero picks up the health globes, they will get healed. So essentially they are in your party, making it really, truly the poor man's co-op.
All right, next we're going to be moving on to the poll of the week. Now, first, let's go ahead and recap last week's poll. The question of the week last week was, when do you believe the beta will begin? Obviously, we talked about last week the announcement of the beta, how it's looking to start in the third quarter of this year, which is anywhere between July 1st and September 30th. And the poll specifically basically just ranged through all those options. The number one choice, people being incredibly optimistic, they are thinking that we're going to be starting it in July. That came out as number one with 41% of the views. In second place with 31% of the views was August, so a little more glass half full, glass half empty there, just right in between. And at that point, it's obviously there's really no way of telling. And then last place we had November, so nobody thinks it's going to be that late, but people definitely hoping that it's going to be starting in July. So Kevin, can you let everyone know about this week's poll?
This week, actually, we're going to be jumping off of the bandwagon, or the follower bandwagon, because that's been the only thing that's been talked about for like the last week and a half now. So we're going to go ahead and we want to know what you guys think about the BlizzCon prices. As you know, we were talking about them earlier in the podcast. So do you guys think that they're overpriced, or do you think that they're reasonable, or something in between? Just let us know what you guys think, because, I mean, this is important.
Yeah, very important. So yeah, go ahead and make sure you head on over to DiabloFans.com. Just go ahead and log into your account, and you can vote for this week's poll right there on the front page. All right, next we're going to be going into user questions. Every week we do answer questions from you guys in the community. And yeah, let's just hop right into the first one here. All right, so this week we're going to do something that we did a couple of podcasts back. We're actually going to go through each and every individual question that was asked here on the Facebook fan page. And yeah, that's just basically it. We're going to cut through it one at a time. We're not even going to think about this whatsoever. So if we get some stupid questions, well, then I apologize. People ask stupid questions sometimes.
Like the first one?
So the first question from Rick is, more SC2, please. That's not a question, you big dummy. And I do a good job of balancing StarCraft and Diablo, so stop your complaining. Edward then asks, how many more systems are left to be revealed by Blizzard? Any insight there, Kevin?
I guess we really don't know, but I mean, right off the top of my head, I want to see trading, endgame. We need to hear the Demon Hunter resource. So that's 2 real systems and then kind of 1 thing left. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's all that much left.
Yeah, unless we get some big surprises. That's pretty much all I'm expecting as well. Next question coming from Carl says, didn't know there was much more D3 info released since your last podcast. Was there? No. As you can tell by the brevity of this podcast, very short indeed. And yeah, there has been a lot of new info, unfortunately. All right, next question from William. I know this is not Diablo related, but what do you think will happen at BlizzCon, seeing as Blizzard has released no information on it? And last year's was pretty bad. Do you think they will strive to make it any better? That's interesting. Well, you went to last year's BlizzCon. What did you think about last year's BlizzCon?
I've been to all of them so far. I didn't really have any problems with any of them. I mean, I had a blast at all of them so far. But I mean, as far as what I think is going to be at this year's BlizzCon, I don't believe they're going to be releasing Titan. I think that's going to be at next year's BlizzCon, or not releasing, but announcing. Sorry. But I do honestly believe that we might hear a Diablo 3 release date, considering beta is going to be sometime before BlizzCon. So. That's about it.
Yeah, all right. Next question from Christian asks, I got a question. Since what the hell?
Oh man.
Since we know that they ain't gonna focus the game around PvP, since it will take forever with all the combinations you can have with your spells, do you guys think that this might go into esport? I would myself love to watch tournaments of Diablo 3 Arena, but I'm afraid that the PvP aspect won't be much balanced. What are your guys' thoughts? Well, we know, as you mentioned, that they're not going to be PvP focused, but they've talked about possibly sanctioning tournaments and having official competitions, so that's not completely out of the realm of possibility, even with its difficulty. I'm personally just hoping that they have a replay function and/or an observation function. I've talked about that in the past. What do you think about the possibility of that as well, Kevin?
I'm right up on that same boat with you. I mean, I'm really hoping that we can have some kind of cool functionality like that. I know that Bashuk mentioned on Twitter that having observers and replays was stuff that they have on their wish list. So it's not really something that they're planning on doing. It's kind of something that they think would be cool to add in if they get the chance. So yeah, I mean, esports, I mean, maybe not officially, but there's definitely going to be tournaments.
Mm-hmm. All right, next question from Tom. Got a question for you guys. Do you think that you'll finish one character through normal, nightmare, and hell, or do normal, one more, then one each class to see what your call is? What your calling is? I don't know, something like that. Personally, I always, in any kind of RPG game, I usually focus on one, and then when I've got one character, just like balls deep, like the best he can be. once I have one character at the best possible point in the game, then I start to foray into alternates. What about yourself, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably do the same thing. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go ahead and do a wizard up until hell, and then maybe and then probably a demon hunter, and then I believe Tyler's gonna do a witch doctor demon hunter, pretty much the same like me.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Tyler's not here, though. We don't have to talk about him. Big joke.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Vincent asked a question. He says, question about gear. How much customization do you think there's going to be with dyes and other items, like in Diablo 2, where almost all characters looked alike in the endgame? As we've talked about in the past, there will be dyes, so you're going to be able to make your gear look a little bit differently than other characters, even if you're wearing the same pieces, the same item sets. Jacob asks, do you think that there will be a release date announced at BlizzCon, as Kevin just said? Probably. Let's going to go ahead and assume that.
Yeah.
Next question from Sam.
Oh, love it. Love it.
How many copies of How many copies of Diablo 2 can Tyler shove up his? Yeah, you can assume what that last word is. I'm not sure. We'll have to ask him next week his opinion on that. All right. Next question from Edward. Will Blizzard be present at E3 in June? I don't know, Kevin.
I really doubt it. I mean, they used to show their games at E3 way back in the day, like early 2000s, like I believe Diablo 2 and Warcraft 3, but they haven't shown anything since Warcraft 3 to my knowledge.
Yeah, and that's, they're basically saving everything for BlizzCon every year for the most part. So, I mean, who can blame them? They're putting kind of exclusiveness on all of their information, and they're selling $175 tickets a pop as a result. So, there you go. Next question from Eric. If all of your armor pieces contain the same gem, do they combine attributes much like a set item would? I don't get that. Do you?
Assuming he means, do they all stack? Like, do the gem stats stack? I'm gonna say yeah, just because, I mean, that's kind of how this stuff works. But it's not like you're gonna have a set. Basically, if you have a gem that adds +5 fire damage, and you have that 5 times, you're just gonna get +25 fire damage. So.
All right. Next question from Reaver. I can't imagine that's a real name.
Yeah.
Could be, though. There's a whole bunch of weird symbols on it. I guess this is leaning towards lore and such. Have we gotten confirmation on how detailed the world exploration will be yet, i.e. locations, or how in-depth they decide to create the towns, bars, shops, etc.? I don't think we're going to be walking into any bars and shops. Well, I guess I guess we could.
See why not?
Yeah, I guess we could.
In Diablo 2 we could.
Yeah, but those were really limited. I would expect those to be relatively limited here as well.
Well, I mean, I kind of assume that things are going to be a hell of a lot better than Diablo 2 was. I mean, when I walk into a shop, I expect to be able to go to sleep.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I mean, at the same time, I'm not expecting like getting my hair cut like you do in WoW.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah,
I don't think we're gonna see barber shops or anything.
yeah, I doubt that. Well, especially since all these characters are the same, we aren't supposed to be able to customize them because it's just one single character. But I mean, I expect to be able to interact with the world, like be able to sit down in a chair and lay down in a bed and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess so. Really, as to your question, though, Reaver, there hasn't been any further clarification, so we're just going to have to wait and see until we actually get into the beta, which hopefully will be July 1st. Next question from Alex. Since Blizzard has not yet announced any endgame content besides PvP, what would you imagine or wish for Diablo 3's endgame? Did we already answer that question just a moment ago, or no? I guess we didn't.
No.
You did mention the upcoming systems, and that's pretty much what we're thinking about the end game. In terms of what I'm hoping for, I really don't know. One of the biggest things I would hope for, in all honesty, is maybe just continuous patches with additional content, maybe new dungeons, new randomized instances, not instances, but just new areas with new bosses to explore and fight post-release. That's kind of something that I would be hoping for.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there. I'm kind of right up there with you. I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine what they could possibly do because there really isn't any healing classes. As we know, we're kind of just gonna have to rely on those health globes. So I mean, it's kind of hard to see what they're gonna do. I just know that they're gonna do something.
Yep. Jack asks, did they say if the Barbarian will be the actual one from D2 or not? Is there any new information? I know initially they did, but now they're not sure, right, Kevin?
Yeah, as of right now, they really aren't sure. Like Dennis just said, the original plan was to have the Barbarian be the same exact class, but then the problem arises that every other class, male and female, has the same exact lore, whereas the Barbarian would be different because, I mean, the male Barbarian would have gone through Diablo 2, whereas the female Barbarian would have just kind of been hanging out doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Next question from Aaron. I think this is the one that you and I have talked about before, Kevin. Aaron asks, I remember seeing a gem mine in the artwork of the D3 official site. Do you guys think that it could be a real place in the game? Would it be like a once per character per difficulty event like the Hellforge in D2? It would make us easier for us to have a chance of getting higher level gems, which Blizzard has said don't drop as normal loot. So that's an interesting thought. I know that you were taking a look at that piece of artwork. What do you think about that possibility? I mean, that seems reasonable to me.
I mean, it seems possible, especially since they released that concept image of the gem mine. It kind of looks like a mine, kind of like from World of Warcraft, which is originally what I thought the artwork was from, until somebody brought it up on the forums just recently. So I mean, I really don't even know what to say about it. It's definitely possible. We haven't heard anything about it, so maybe it's some kind of gem dungeon mine. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Those are the kind of things we can just kind of make up.
Yeah.
But there's no way of knowing until we see it. Tyler asks, will follower equipment have gem slots and the ability to enchant them? If yes, will they work the same way? I'm gonna assume yes.
Yeah.
Weapons, right? Weapons would.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, it would make sense that we can socket and gem and enchant them. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. This is a lengthy question here. Let me see if I can read this all correctly. If I've understood the situation right, in many boss fights, you will need some kind of tactic in order to beat him. Well, if this is true, how will they solve this when you play with your friends and when you play solo? I mean, other tactics should be needed when you're alone and not playing with 3 of your friends and the other way around. I guess my question is, will the boss fights be the same regardless if you fight them alone or with a full party, or will the boss have more tricks to do when you play with your friends? Sorry for my English. I am a Swedish Viking. Yes, this guy is the man. All right, so that's an interesting question. What do you think about that, Kevin? Different tactics for the boss fights in co-op experience.
That is something I actually hadn't thought about. I mean, I had been under the assumption that single player and multiplayer would be the exact same thing, and essentially single player was just playing multiplayer by yourself. Up until the whole follower system thing came out. So actually, I'm really kind of confused as to how this is going to work, because that's a really great point. If you're playing by yourself, you're not going to be able to use the same tactics as you normally would, because, I mean, if we're doing, say, you and I playing, you could easily tank being a barbarian, and I could just sit there and DPS away as a wizard. So I'm actually kind of curious myself as to how this is going to work out.
Yeah, that's certainly a good question. I think something important to note too is that they have made an honest effort at making encounters more engaging and interesting than it's been in the past. In the past, it was kind of just a Zerg fest for the most part. You just DPS down as fast as you can, but they're trying to really involve different stages of fights. We've seen in the 1,000-pounder fight how he enrages. Now that's kind of a simplified version, but they're going to be doing things like that, I'm assuming, with every boss fight. So it will be interesting to see how those tactics end up playing out as a separation between the single player and the co-op.
Yeah, I mean, aside from health globes, I mean, there really isn't much else that could be changed. I mean, I guess they could scale the monster down based on the amount of players in the game, and then scale the number of health globes. But otherwise, I mean, that's really the only thing that could possibly change.
Yeah. Well, again, we've said this before. Just gonna have to wait and see.
Yep.
Something like that. Next question from Michael. Greetings, Force. Could you please go more in depth in the salvaging system? Will it be like the Herodric Cube, where only after a chain of quest you will grant access or something like that? Will it be tied in with one of the artisans? Also, will it be immediately available or not until a certain level for your character? Was this system where you could stack your gems to higher level gems, or was that the Mystic? Okay, so that was a lot. You're getting the salvage cube from the blacksmith, right?
I believe that's the case.
I'm pretty sure that's been
clarified
before. We also know the blacksmith is the first artisan you encounter, so this is going to be relatively early on in the game. I don't know exactly what level, but relatively early on, we're going to be getting the blacksmith. The blacksmith himself is going to be giving you a salvage cube. And in terms of how it's going to work, I'm positive that the gem thing is not going to be the case. As far as I understand, all the salvage cube is doing is taking items that you find and breaking them down into their raw materials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you have a sword, and let's just say you'll get like a wooden piece and a metal piece of whatever, something like that. That's kind of the general thought process and the idea behind it. And then magical items, I'm sure they're going to give you some sort of essence, some magic essence as well that would be used to make you like rings and amulets at the Mystic. So that's the salvage cube. It's just you're gonna find things in the world, gear that you don't need. You toss them salvage cube. You break down to the raw materials. You use those materials to craft gear, and maybe you'll be able to sell it as well.
You can sell it for some money.
Yeah, so that's another option as well. In terms of putting gems together for high level gems, was that the Mystic? I don't know.
I don't think that they ever really said. I mean, I guess it would be safe to assume it's either going to be the jeweler or the Mystic. Probably the Mystic, I guess, but I don't think they've actually really ever come out and said how we're going to be able to get higher level gems, just that we will get higher level gems.
Yeah, we could very well end up eating our words, because it may have been stated, but right now it's slipping my mind. I'm having a brain fart, so I'm not going to pretend I know. But yeah, it's I think that I'm pretty sure that I've heard that that's a possibility. I just don't know how or where yet. Yep, so there you have it. Well, I guess that pretty much does it for this week. I want to apologize for the relative shortness of this podcast. That's actually a major part of the reason why we decided to answer all of these questions. There just has not been a lot of news since that last follower announcement. Do keep in mind, though, that as we progress and as we work our way up to the release of the beta, which is going to be sometime between July and September, then we are going to be expecting more and more news. Again, we're looking at the following upcoming systems to be announced, and that's going to give us more discussion topics at future podcasts. So, as always, thank you guys so much for listening. For Kevin, this has been Dennis, and thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.
All right, take it easy, guys.
All right, so, wow, I guess that's it, huh?
Yeah, jeez, man.
It's all right. Not that big a deal.
I guess.
I
feel like we just have nothing else to say.
Yeah, I mean, if we talked much anything else, we'd just be repeating what we talked about last week.
Yeah,
in terms of like hypothesizing and everything. All right, so I guess we can just go into the poll.
Dang. Oh man, poll. All right, let's see. What do we got here?
It's funnier every week when you say it.
I know. It doesn't not get funny, man.
All right.
How many copies of Diablo 2 can Tyler shove up his ass? Love it. Love it.
Clearly, we have to answer that question.
Especially since he's not here. Makes it even better. My girlfriend wants a dog. I told her I'm not doing it.
What?
I don't want a dog.
No.
I don't want to have to clean up its shit. I don't even like cleaning up my own shit.
That's understandable. Yeah.